Hey guys, how's it going? Today we are going to be planting 3 powerhouse plants out in the garden. Now all 3 of these we already have in different locations, but they've done so well for us that I thought it would be nice to add some more. They're all low maintenance, they all like full sun. When we are done planting, we're going to then go out and do some weeding because we've got to get on top of some of these areas. We've got spurge and purslane and bindweed growing just about everywhere right now. But look at this mix. Are these not the most beautiful colors? And all together, I just love it. In fact, these might end up all together out in the same spot. We've got one variety of buddleia, and there are 3 of them in the back of the gator. This is the Miss Ruby variety. These grow 4 to 5 feet tall and wide, so not as big as some of the other varieties that are out there, which is nice. They tuck in a little bit easier. They bloom pretty much all season. These wintered over for us in the high tunnel, as did the yarrow here. So these have woken up on our schedule, and they will continue to bloom through a pretty hard frost. They're just super tough. They don't need a lot of water. The pollinators are very attracted to them. I see swallowtails in particular right now all over on these. And they're a zone 5 through 9. And then we've got the Firefly Sunshine Yarrow, which I love these 2 colors together. It's just such a happy looking blend. This is such a happy yellow. And I love the look of this color of yellow with these sagey light green leaves. So this one will grow about 2.5 feet tall by about that wide, zone 3 through 8. And also likes drier soil. It doesn't need very fertile soil. Like all of these are really easy. This is like the low maintenance section in the garden right here. So they push blooms this time of year and they last for quite a long time, and you can see new ones forming up down below right here. You can leave them. You don't have to deadhead these or shear them back if you don't want to. You can leave the spent blooms. I actually like the look of the spent blooms. They kind of turn a little bit lighter in color. So you've got like a 2-tone, like a bright yellow with a light yellow. It takes them quite a long time to actually dry out and kind of look a little bit more brown, which I think those look really pretty in dried flower arrangements, even at that color. But you can also go in after they have bloomed for the most part early in the summer, and you can shear them back. And I've gone so far as to shear them like 2 inches above the ground and then shearing them up a little higher. So sometimes, you know, I'll go in about here. Sometimes I'll kind of find where the densest part of the leaf canopy is and I'll shear them off a little bit higher. Either way, I mean, you'll have a little bit of a lull while it's pushing new growth for more color, or you can leave them up and not do a thing to them and just cut them back once a year. And then we've got crystal blue salvia, which we have planted on the west side near the house. And boy, this light kind of pale blue lavender with the pink and the yellow, it's just such a beautiful blend. And they're a gorgeous plant. These will grow about 18 to 20 inches tall, so we've got kind of a stair step going on here. We've got the tallest, the medium, and then the shortest one here. They spread out about 2 feet. They are a zone 3 through 8. And these I can see a ton of new buds on, so these are just getting going in their bloom cycle. A lot of the ones we have planted out in the garden are already done with their first flush of blooms, so we're getting ready to cut them back. And they're kind of the same in that you can cut them off pretty close to the ground and just wait for a new fresh growth, or you can cut them up a little higher in the plant. And I've done videos before to show you like where you can cut. I actually prefer cutting them closer down to the ground. You forfeit a little bit of blooms, but I think the plant overall looks way nicer throughout the rest of the season than trying to eke out just a little bit more color in blooms. So yeah. So when I go in to cut these back, like, okay, so for example, you see this bloom stalk right here is done. And then it's got some side shoots right in here that will become flowers. You could go in and painstakingly cut out all of the old blooms if you wanted to. But you know, like once these are done and it's just got a little bit of color toward the base, I would rather go in and cut that stalk all the way down to the bottom. So usually I would keep that middle stalk. And then once these are kind of done and I've just got a little bit of color toward the base, I would much rather come in and forfeit a little bit of color and cut it down lower and let it reflush. So I've got a beautiful show a little bit later in the summer. But that's completely personal preference on how you want to take after that. I usually just prefer the easier, quicker way, which gives you a better looking plant in the end, I think. And we've also got an egg and some carrots that the kids added to the back of the gator for later. So we are just going to take these out into the garden. I was thinking of putting them around the pond dream stream area. There's a couple different spots I had in mind, but I might have to just stand back and think about it for a second. But I think I would like to plant these somewhat together because I think that would be really pretty. And they have kind of a meadowy, more cottagey sort of look to them as a whole. Also, Erin said, hey, when you figure out where you want the plants, I'll come out and dig your holes for you. I might take him up on that. And it's been a weird weather day. We woke up to dark skies, thunder and lightning, rain, wind, and we had a bunch of rain and wind last night. Thankfully, everything was untouched here on our property. I mean, some of our plants in the back by the high tunnel were knocked down, but nothing was damaged. My parents down at the garden center, they lost the big thundercloud plum that's right at the entrance of the nursery. So we went down there first thing to kind of commiserate with them and take a look. And I think in the end, it's going to be a really fun opportunity for something new, but there's not a time that I can remember that that tree wasn't there. Like, that's how old it was. And it had heart rot through the center like our mulberry did and our honey locust did. So I'm thankful at least it happened at night when nobody was there. Nobody was hurt, and it didn't create any damage other than the tree itself, which is just like amazing. Oh, and it makes me thankful that we got our trees taken out before they caused a problem. I was kind of thinking, like possibly in this area, but I think I need to incorporate something with red foliage here. I think there'd be too much green. So I think this spot is out. This is how I spend almost every planting project. I always have an idea of where I think it might go. Doesn't mean it's always gonna work out. Gosh, it's just filling in beautifully over here. Oh, yeah, I put this away, I suppose. I got this out. Do a little cleanup. You know what might look pretty? What if I incorporated... Gotta keep this open. This is kind of a little walkway that we do use. You know, I could also break up the group and I could put like one right in here and one over there. A little bit of color in here. We're gonna put a little patio over there, so that's no good. Maybe even one right up in here. I hate to break up the group. They look so pretty together, but that might be what we do. This might be a good spot because we could do, you know, we've got a chatalpa and a Russian sage. We could do a butterfly bush, butterfly bush, butterfly bush, some of the yarrow, and the salvia. Let's try it. Let's set the plants out and see what we think. Look at our chamomile. We started that from seed last year. Isn't that just perfect in this area? Oh, so cute. It needed more blue. I think this is gonna look so pretty. It already does just seeing these plants sitting here. So we've got the 3 butterfly bush, 1, 2, 3, and then 5 yarrow kind of worked throughout. And then 1 salvia here tucked in at the front of the rock. We do have this blue pine here as well. And then we've got 1, 2, 3, 4 salvia kind of ringing around the front of this birch tree, which used to be a trio, and now it's a duo. And then, because we had this extra space that would really be good for a perennial ground cover, which I don't have on hand right now, I thought the Star Diva Blue Scaevola would be awesome. That'll provide so much color until our salvia get, you know, established and get a little bit bigger. Also, we've got the Denim and Lace Russian Sage. There's one here and here. And I want to say those get like 28 to 32 inches or so. I don't know. But they incorporate really beautifully, and they'll kind of send out their really pretty blue blooms that'll kind of incorporate with everything else in here. But this is just a really fun look, and I think it's going to do real well in this space. The only thing we're going to have to watch out for, I think, I'll have to ask Aaron once he comes out here, I think the big water pipe that feeds, you know, the pond, like it goes all the way up to the dream stream. I think it's directly in this path. And I don't think it's super deep, so I don't want to use the auger for any of this stuff. I think we're good here. And I think we're largely good here, except there is an electrical box near this one. And I'm not sure which direction Aaron will remember. So we might be using the shovel for a lot of these so that we don't accidentally nick something with an auger. And I can't believe that I get to plant these things with this view. I see some of the plants moving because the fish are messing around with them. They're just cruising around in there. I can hear the water from this feature right back here. And it's almost in the shade. Now, I did start this project a little bit later in the day. We had other stuff going on this morning, but it gets quite a lot of sun midday. I want to say it starts in the sun at about 10-ish maybe, and right now it's close to 4. So it's gonna get 6 to 8 hours, a little bit more on this end right here for now. I mean, we'll eventually, well, all of our gardens for the most part will eventually have to be shifted over to more shade loving stuff because, you know, tree canopies will grow, gardens evolve, that's what happens. But for now, this is gonna be beautiful. So now we need to let Aaron know that we are ready to go, and then he can tell us where everything's at in this space. Hello? Oh, there you are, I think.
Yeah.
Can you see where I'm standing? I'm kind of like at the basketball court area. I am ready to dig, but I just need to ask you where some stuff is at out here.
Oh, well, I can come out.
Okay, that'd be awesome. Hey, can you bring, yeah, you can. Can you bring me both my ice water that's on the counter and a Diet Coke, please?
Yes.
Okay, thanks.
Go ahead.
Let me see if I can, you can try to be.
Oh, sure.
All right, here it is, all done. Isn't that beautiful? And we're just about 4:15, 4:30-ish. So you can see it gets into the shade at that point. So from about 10-ish, it could be even earlier than that because this is the south side, so that, you know, tends to get a little bit more sun coming in this way. So 9:30, 10-ish maybe to 4:30, they're gonna get at least 6 hours of really strong, nice light. So I think it's going to be a really fun spot, and it's colorful. Let's check it out from this angle right here, as if you're walking down the walkway and you stumble upon this beautiful, colorful little pocket of flowers. Oh, and also from this angle, some of the koi. Step over and look at this. Oh, it's just so pretty. The Scaevola really do a beautiful job here. I planted this exact variety out in the south garden in front of our President Lincoln lilac hedge. At the end of one of our curved stone pathways, I planted 3 President Lincoln lilacs. And so I didn't know what I wanted to plant there in terms of like perennial. So I had this Stardiva blue, and then I planted it with some Supertunia Vista snowdrift right behind it. So we had that bright white with this really bright, beautiful blue, and they did excellent. They kind of just formed this beautiful mat, and they load up with flowers. They were in color for the entire season. I want to say they were new last year or this year, the Stardiva series. They are a newer-ish one, and I was really pleased with its performance in the landscape. Looks beautiful opposite the yellow. And it's fun working around the boulders too, like tucking plants close, knowing that they're gonna kind of grow over it a little bit and kind of soften the lines. And we can also finish up the mulch here. We didn't mulch right up to the walkway because the paver sand had not been installed yet, and now that it has been, we can kind of finish up and tidy up that mulch a bit. So that is our planting project for the day. I want to look at it one more time from this angle. Kind of want to plant something different right here, so I did not bring the annual all the way down. Maybe something small and evergreen-ish. That's just a beautiful sweeping view here across that flower bed and to the water. Okay, so we did our fun project. Now we gotta go weed, which I honestly don't mind all that much. But the weeds that we're gonna be pulling are, like I said, purslane and a lot of spurge. Spurge can be a little bit difficult to get, but let me show it to you. Got some real dandy examples of purslane and spurge right now. Okay, so here we are. There's Persephone. We just planted the Surefire rose begonias in this area. And if you get down in here, you can see the purslane. Oh, there's a spurge right next to it. So let me pull this one. Purslane has kind of a more succulent type leaf. They are edible, but I don't like them. So anyway, we're gonna pull all these out. And then spurge is this little one that forms this mat along the ground. So you get like this tiny little root and then usually this really wide plant, and it's real hard to get them in between the bricks. So I might have to run and grab a tool, like a little narrow tool that I can kind of scrape along the interior of the bricks. But it's not a hard thing usually. I don't usually wear gloves when I am weeding this type of weed because I can't really feel where the root begins. And the spurge especially, if you don't get your fingers right around where the root attaches to the top of the plant, it just kind of like breaks the plant apart, and then you don't get the root and it comes right back. So you kind of have to like figure out where that is, pinch, and then pull. These are nice and little. Look at this one. See? That's a dandy right there. All right, here we go. Please get the root. Yes, got it. So here's just a little bit of a close-up of what I'm gonna be weeding out of here. I mean, it's been worse, I guess. Ooh, right here, great example of spurge. See this carpet? And these are all kind of little. Kind of satisfying. So not riveting stuff, but necessary stuff. So let's get this area done. Also, real quick, this is the tool that I use to get in between the bricks. It's awesome. It's called a Cape Cod weeder. It's like a real weird shaped tool. Maybe we can put a better picture of it up on the screen, but it's super handy for tight areas, and also works really well for like edging grass because you can get underneath the soil with it and kind of scrape. You could probably use it for this type of weeding too. You're just cutting the roots instead of getting them all the way out. It works great for like corner weeding too. I'll show you a close up here in a second. didn't realize what time it was. And I just got nailed by the sprinkler. Like full on, my whole backside is completely soaked. The one nice thing about this is that the soil will be very workable. I did get one whole quadrant done, including all the bricks around it. And I got, I think, the worst of all 4 of them done. So we'll just wait for this to stop and we'll start in again. In fact, I think it's dinner time. That's about when these sprinklers go off. They don't go off for too long, but maybe we'll just take a break. I'll go make dinner and then we'll reconvene later this evening after the sprinklers are all done and we're all re-energized. All right, got dinner made. We sat down and ate together. I went to the grocery store and now we're back at it with the weeding. All I really want to do is get this area done. So I'm going to try to whip through it. It's now nice and wet, which I'm hoping makes it not a super muddy mess, but rather helps loosen up the weeds. I'm going to try to think about it positively. So let's get it done. All done, no more weeds. It looks so much better. Oh my gosh. And I cleaned up kind of the grass edges around here as well. Now I'm gonna have to come back out here once the soil dries because there was like little pieces of dirt out everywhere, all over the place, especially around where I was weeding when it was still dry out. And now they're wet, so they won't move with the blower. So I gotta wait till those dry out, but doesn't matter. Spurge and purslane, that's pretty much all that was in this space. And violas or pansies. Tons and tons of baby plants in here, and I just used that tool and just kind of scraped them up because there were so many. It would have taken me forever to weed them out. And they're young enough and don't have a developed enough root system to come back after they've been cut off like that. It's really nice to have a section checked off. For now, we'll have to come back and check it out later. We haven't mulched this section, and I'm honestly not sure if we will. These Surefire rose begonias will fill in, and you won't really see soil after a little while. It does make it look pretty sharp though when the soil isn't all wet like this. Looking pretty good right now. So anyway guys, that is going to do it for today's projects. Really fun flower bed planted back there by the stream. Weeds gone. That's kind of just the order of the day is at this point, kind of keeping up on stuff. We did get some fresh perennials in yesterday, so we'll be putting in some more perennials around and I'm looking forward to that. But anyway, thank you guys so much for watching today's video. I hope you enjoyed it and we will see you in the next one. Bye.